Hi everybody who is joining. I apologise, this was ready, but for some reason it decided to go squint. Very squint. I'll let some people come in. Alexa, stop. Let some people come in. I'll show you out. And I need to my mods. Hi to whoever's joining. I do apologise. I just thought I'd share out the live. Lila? It's a pretty name. Oops, I paused. Apologise. Hello everybody if you're joining, and if you're on the For You page, don't be shy, come on down and talk. For those that don't know me, or Hello City Glowing Glow Star, for those that don't know me, I'm Anne, or I like to be called Banana, and I talk all things pretty much true crime primarily, but as I was discussing last night, I will at some point obviously be doing some fun lives, etc. For those that are coming in, if you are interacting, if you've met each other before, please feel free to follow each other. I would love it to be a case of everybody, we're all one big community, and the more I go live, the more you'll recognise people, and some of their content may be absolutely awesome. So if anybody is popping up to say hi, then please do follow each other. Very much appreciated. Let's build a little community as we're going along as well. Now, for those that are coming in, or those that are watching from the For You page, some of you may already know about the Alexis Avila case. You may know about what happened, you may know the ins and outs, or maybe you don't know everything that has obviously happened. I'm going to discuss this case. This comment section is open for discussions. If you have any questions, you need me to recap something, or if you need me to slow down, then please do pop a comment up. I'll try my best to pay as close attention to this as possible. Tonight's live won't be as jumpy as last night's one was. I had it been live for a while and decided to do a bit of a chilled out, hi everybody, live of introducing myself. So I'm not going to talk about 20 million things, because tonight I actually have a script. And hello for those that are joining, and of course, Happy New Year. I can't believe it's 2026 already. But like I said, this is the Alexis Avila case. I have brought my chair over to sit on to talk to you all, because I thought it'd be nice and comfy after working all day, and thought, let's just be comfy rather than sitting on my computer chair. So let's get started. Pull up a pew or a little seat, and let's begin. So, the Alexis Avila case. On the 7th of January 2022 at 8 p.m, 3 dumpster divers heard strange noises coming from a dumpster behind a shopping centre in New Mexico. The trio, April Meadow, Hector Jusso, and Michael Green, retrieved the bag, and what they thought may have been a puppy or a kitten turned out to be the body of a newborn baby boy wrapped in a towel, with the placenta still placed beside it in the bag. Now, by some miracle, the baby boy was alive, but very, very cold. One reported that they thought the baby had potential frostbite and had a slight blue tinge to him. They called 911, and within moments, officers did arrive at the scene, and immediately the baby boy was rushed to the nearest hospital for treatment to save his life. Hobbs Police Department, thank you. Hobbs Police Department examined the CCTV recordings that overlooked the dumpster and witnessed a young woman, driving up to the dumpster in a white car at 2 p.m. in the afternoon and throwing the baby into the dumpster like it was a piece of trash. When I say throwing, I don't want to get in trouble at the moment from TikTok because they may pull this, but she gets out of her car, pulls the hi and thank you for joining and Happy New Year, pulls the baby out of the back seat that's obviously in the trash bag and throws the baby just like it's nothing. And thankfully, using the footage, they were able to find the footage of Alexis dumping the baby almost 6 hours. So that baby had been outside for almost 6 hours in nothing more than a towel and a trash bag. They were able to link the car to 18-year-old Alexis Avila, I don't know why I said that, through the car's number plate. Happy New Year to you too. Officers spoke to her parents, and then the teenager, she went voluntary to the station to be interviewed. It was there she claimed that she did not know she was pregnant until the 6th of January, the day before she gave birth. She told police that on the morning of the 7th that she gave birth in her parents' bathroom after experiencing stomach pains. She explained she panicked. She thought she was too young to be a mum and she didn't know who to call or what to do. So she decided to cut the umbilical cord herself. She wrapped the baby in a towel, placed him in a white trash bag containing trash, then inside a larger bag before driving to the dumpster and throwing him away. Alexis pleaded not guilty to child abuse and attempted first-degree murder and was able to go home on house arrest after her arraignment until the trial. And she was allowed to go to school, get medical treatment. She was to get psychological help, but she was banned from any contact with her baby boy. Now, I've watched some of the interviews, and when I sit and watch their interviews, this isn't just some scared little 18-year-old that didn't know what she was doing. There was times that she was laughing about it. It seemed so dismissive over what she had actually done. So you do potentially think there may have been a mental health card that had been there, but there was indeed safe haven boxes. So if she had really desired, she could have went hunting for some baby boxes, because in all 52 states in America, there are safe haven boxes where a baby can be left up to 1 month old, no questions asked. It is immediately taken from the baby box because a little alarm thing goes off, and the baby is immediately taken to hospital to get checked over, and then is given to people that is able to care for. So sometimes it goes into foster care before they get adopted, etc. But obviously you can imagine if it's a baby, they're going to get adopted pretty quickly. Yes, I know that might be very hard for anybody to do, but wouldn't it have been better for her to do that rather than throwing her baby away like trash? I've got very strong opinion on this, so if I do become really opinionated, it is why. Now, the footage of the dumpster video did go viral. when when I say it went viral, it was everywhere. Everyone was talking about it because, and again, for just in general, I don't want to really be showing that. And when I do actually put the video up, I do have the specific part censored, although you can kind of make out under the blurring of what she's actually doing as well. And for anybody that's joining, thank you for popping in. Build a little community, so please follow back anybody that's in the comments section as well. Follow each other, let's build a wee community. Now, this did spark huge outrage, as it was horrible. Heartbreak for the little boy, because nobody knew what had happened, if he was safe, if he was healthy, because over 6 hours in a dumpster, just born, like, he survived by some miracle. You know, if you believe in God, it's most likely like that. It was some sort of divine intervention that actually allowed this little boy to survive. And it obviously did become a much big, massive, heated debate about teen pregnancy, mental health, and of course justice. Because if anybody knows, I mean, it does happen in the UK as well, I'm not disputing that in the slightest, but in America, a lot of times when this sort of type thing happens, they really don't get very much sentencing at all, and some of them actually just get to walk free. And, you know, you kind of, at that point, it did spark huge debates, because especially, I want to say Roe v. Wade had actually been overturned by that point as well, or it was in discussion to be overturned too. It almost seemed like the life of an unborn baby meant more to the American judicial system. Again, that's just an opinion. Everybody has their own judicial system as compared to what the life of an actual baby living outside the womb got. The right seems to be a bit strange, and that to me is just bizarre. So many teenagers have got away with this. If you look back through some of my videos, you'll see the story of how Prom Night Dumpster Baby song from Family Guy came to be, and I do discuss a little bit of this then, although I didn't mention her, which I maybe should have. Now, as much as she had obviously said to police that she didn't know that she was pregnant until the day before, a friend of the teen, a school friend of the teen, said that Alexis was open about her pregnancy at school, and that she had stopped attending class just before the Christmas break. Now, all I know about the father is at the time, he was 16-year-old. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And thank you for the follow. Completely agree with that, because if a child is living and breathing, and if you have put that child in some sort of harm's way, or you have made it end its life, then you should be up for a charge of murder. In my eyes, it is a first degree. But the American law don't see it like that. So that is quite a highly debated topic actually still, and even now still, especially the fact that there seems to be more and more of these types of cases coming from America as well, which is really quite heartbreaking. Now, the baby boy does have a name. The baby boy was named Saul by his 16-year-old father, and I believe it's actually his parents that are bringing up the child, but he obviously is able to see his son. Now, in April 2023, a jury did find Alexis Avila guilty after a quick 4-day trial. She was found guilty of 1 count of abuse of a child resulting in great bodily harm, and was sentenced in total to 18 years. 2 years of this was parole post-incarceration, with a credit of 475 days of the pre-sentence confinement, because like I said, she was under house arrest. Now, baby Saul is very lucky to be alive. I actually saw a picture of him from, I think he had not long since turned 1, or maybe he was 2. Babies got big sizes and sometimes really small sizes. He is doing well. He is thriving, which is incredible for what he endured in the first just over 6 hours of his life. And during the trial, medical staff testified that the newborn had actually suffered from hypothermia, had received 5 blood transfusions. He had severe anemia and kidney problems, among other issues, from being abandoned and left in 40-degree Fahrenheit temperature, which is 4.4 degrees Celsius here, for example, who uses that. So considerably cold, and he survived, like just in a towel in a bag. If it weren't for the 3 heroes that found Saul and saved his life, even the judge said that as well, he would have ended up in landfill and he would have died. Now, unsurprisingly, on July the 27th, 2023, Avila's defence team filed a motion to appeal. It was to appeal the sentencing. They felt it was unduly harsh. They felt that she never got a fair trial either. And they cited the following reasons. They felt there was jury bias. Good evening, Joe. Due to the media coverage of the case, and the jury pool was tainted and had already prejudged the defendants. They felt it would have been better if the trial had been moved to Lincoln County, where there was little to no coverage in the media. However, this had been denied when the motion to move had actually been done, as the media coverage wasn't overly emotional in regards to the coverage of this case. They stuck to facts and they did not go beyond the resuscitation, I said that easily earlier, it just goes to show, of established facts. So the court had decided that because it was just factual, it went more, I do believe it was more outside New Mexico that this went really quite viral, and the topic of discussion had then been opened. I mean, I know I spoke about it at the time on a very, very old account. And it was a big topic for discussion, and everybody was sharing this video of her dumping baby, or at least the 3 heroes. So, like, again, that had initially been denied at the time. Now, point number 2, witnesses testified in the trial court as expert witnesses and were not previously designated as such on a witness list to put defence on sufficient notice, and they were deemed not experts, as they were, as defence said, only involved in the care of the infant after hospital admission. So they did not deem this as the prosecution following the due course is what they should have done by putting them on the pre-approved witness list to give the defence enough time to do their rebuttals. So that was motion. That was point number 2. Point 3 was whether the trial court erred in denying the defendant motion for a directed verdict based on the sufficiency of evidence for the child abuse resulting in great bodily harm charge. That's a mouthful. That annoyed me as well when I read that. And 4, this links to this same charge, is whether or not there was sufficient evidence presented for the juries to find her guilty of such charge. Point number 5, whether the trial court had sufficient evidence of the finding of the offence and harm was allowed to be designated as a serious violent offence, and that it should have been defined as an injury with a high probability of death, as Saul was not injured and miraculously began recovering once his body temperature began to stabilise. Now, again, if a woman gives birth on a bathroom floor, chooses to not seek help, not call anybody, not do anything other than cutting the umbilical cord, they would have had to have done it. She would have had to have tied it off in some way, as well, or the baby would have bled out. She chose to wrap the child in a towel, put it in one trash bag beside one lot of rubbish, and then put it in a secondary. I do believe she drove between 10 and 20 minutes away from her house to be able to, well, discard of the baby like trash, like what she did. So even though the child doesn't have any long-lasting impacted damage, there's still a specific amount of damage that was done. So I do believe that, I personally feel that the charge was correct, that it was abuse of a child resulting in great bodily harm, which may have resulted in death, actually, to be fair. 100% she knew what she was doing. And also the argument of it, she never knew until the day before, whereas a school friend of hers had testified to say that, well, that's not actually true, because she was talking about it in class and stopped turning up for class before Christmas break. Tells me that this was all premeditated. There was an alleged that the father didn't know, but again, that's just alleged. There's nothing that's come out of concrete fact about that, and I would never like to theorise in this and put out untruths. And point number 6, where the court erred in denying Avila's request that the court give the uniform jury instructions prior to deliberating. Now, I don't know how many people have sat on a jury. I got called for jury duty in October. Yeah, end of October. And I was a substitute or reserve, and I was actually ended up being picked to be on the jury. Jury instruction, ultimately, in any cases, and some cases that I've watched as well, jury instruction comes from the court, comes from the judge. It is the judge, the honourable judge that resides in the big chair, that is the one that gives the jury instruction. That's how it's always been. And I know that in Scotland, a defence don't have to argue that their client is innocent. It's the Crown prosecution that have to prove guilt, and ultimately it does work specifically. It's pretty similar in every bit, but obviously everything is slightly different. I mean, in the courtroom that I was in Scottish court, there's no opening arguments. If there's a special defence that's been put forward, then that would be what it is. Now, when Alexis was found guilty and charged, she was still to complete her schooling, so still to get her GED. She was to get mental and psychological help as well. So I do believe that's part of the reason why a lot of things have been questioned in regards to her mental health. However, if she was deemed... There was a petition to get her temporarily released. Like, this was the proper motion had been filed, and obviously, like I said, the 27th of July, but had been hinted upon after trial, because you have a certain amount of days to do the immediate appeal, and then you put the full motion in later. That after her trial, where she had been found guilty in the May of 2023, defence had requested that she was released from prison. However, that request was denied because she had spent not very much time in actual jail, in incarceration, because she had to pay for the crime that she had committed. Now, however, a judge in New Mexico had decided that in October 2023 that Alexis would be given.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Oops. Alexis would be given temporary release. Now this was going to be up against, is this going to be a retrial? Are all charges going to be fully dismissed? And then it went to the Supreme Court. And thankfully, obviously she did, when she was released, it was under the same house arrest conditions that she'd had pre-trial. So that was full house arrest, wasn't allowed to have any contact with her baby boy. Which seems bizarre. If she discarded them, then why would she want? But anyway, but one of the things as well that I noticed was in the interviews that I watched of her, she actually asked if she could see him. Even though she discarded him like trash, she still thought she had the right to see her child. So that's why one of the conditions of her release, temporary release, that was stipulated very much so that she was not allowed to have any contact with the infant child, who, like I said, was at the time was under the grandparents, the paternal grandparents' care. Now, however, thankfully, New Mexico Court of Appeals saw sense, and they had affirmed her conviction, and she was ordered to return to custody to complete her sentence. And Alexis Avila, because she's already appealed, she can't appeal again because it was in front of the New Mexico Court of Appeals, is incarcerated, thankfully. Now, thanks to this and the, I want to say governor of New Mexico, but I don't know if that's the correct thing, if it's a senator. But he had then started to petition to get more safe haven boxes. And as of 2025, because obviously it was only dated to last year, there are currently 33 safe haven boxes in different counties within New Mexico. So ultimately, New Mexico are saying there is absolutely no excuse and no reason that any mother that gives birth should do this again. I believe it or not, immediately after this had actually happened, a safe haven box had actually been installed in a hospital, whereas it wasn't usually. And obviously by that point, there was already laws that were getting changed by this point, where the fact that you could go to hospital, you could give birth, you could get all the prenatal care, and you could then speak to a nurse and say, I'm not able to care for my child. They'll take the baby, no questions asked. The woman gets all the treatment that they need from after birth, because there could be birth complications. They may have had to have a C-section. They may have been torn at the time as well. So they still get all of that care and stuff. And that child then gets adopted by somebody that wants to adopt a child and is forever in somebody's care. So there was actually one installed, and it just so happened, I don't know if anybody knows about this one, because it happened just over a year afterwards, in January 2024, when Alexis Trevizo, she had given birth in a hospital that had a safe haven box, and she decided to kill said child. So I mean, it's horrible. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. I mean, the flippancy of what she had actually done, it actually boils my blood, like, in such a big way. For her to think that she would get away with it as well, I think that she was hoping that nobody would find the baby, that the baby would die, it would get taken to a dumpster, and nobody would ever know. That's what my thoughts are of that. This was premeditated. She knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing enough to drive the 10 to 20 minutes away from her home and put the baby in a dumpster. And it was a big green dumpster, like, you're not missing that. And for her to say that she was not guilty was a sham. The defence pulling all those little arguments, saying that it was unfair and that she never got a fair trial and it should have been this and it should have been this. It's like, do you know what? It was about time that somebody, that a woman in America was properly held accountable for the crime they committed against a child. Like I said, it was an absolute miracle this little baby boy survived. An incredible miracle. A few hours later, if those three did not... Yeah, so I'll keep her up because obviously I did start to talk about her. So many of you all know about Alexis Trevizo, the 19-year-old that killed her baby. And she claimed that she didn't know. I mean, the body cam footage just went absolutely everywhere. We are still... I've not heard an update yet on whether or not the Supreme Court has made that body cam footage admissible, because initially it was ruled inadmissible because it was a violation of her HIPAA. It was a violation of HIPAA, which I disagree with. The reason I disagree with this is they didn't know where the placenta of Alexee Trevizo's baby was. There was a considerable amount of blood. They knew that she was going to have to get some sort of prenatal care immediately, pretty much. There was blood footprints on the way back to the bedroom from the from the hospital bathroom as well, and the amount of blood that was, even though she had cleaned up to a degree, but they were going to come in with a master key and just unlock if she never actually opened the door, because by this point she knew she was pregnant. They are claiming that the body cam footage goes against her her rights, the rights of having, you know, confidentiality, because they said because she was 19, so not a minor. She was told about the baby in front of her mum, and they got it on body cam as well. Now, anywhere that there's a random find of a random body, and the police are called, the police have the right to record on their body cam, and that doesn't matter where you are. Body cam is used for not only protection of the police, but is also protection of actually the defendant or any witnesses or any bystanders, just in general. So the body cam footage, I do believe, I've watched that, and yeah, so I suppose it sort of went viral as well. Yeah, that's true, Mr. Handsome. You certainly can record everywhere. And they said that it was that because she had to get rushed off to a different hospital. This is her defence team, by the way. Because they had to rush her off to a different hospital to get the prenatal care, because the Albuquerque hospital that she was at did not have the sufficient resources to be able to, so she got helicoptered away to a different hospital to get the prenatal care that she was needing. And again, we don't know what happened to the placenta. We don't know if the placenta was obviously delivered when she got to the other hospital or not, because none of those details are given. And also, you can't really go for jury bias by this point as well, because Alexis Trevizo has got to go and live her life. She's not... she went to university, I believe. From what the petition had initially said, she was studying medicine. But the safe haven box that was in that hospital was there. She didn't have to do this. And I am desperate for a judge to make an example and for the jury to make an example of anybody that does this. It happens too often. We hear too many cases of it. It's been happening for as long as I can remember. It's actually happened here as well. Not far from where I live, there's high-rise properties, and there's actually a bench dedicated to this little baby. They never actually ever found out who the mother was, but on a winter day, I would have been very young at the time. If it wasn't before I was born. I can't remember. I have to look up the date again because it's been a while. But a baby was discarded in winter on the grassy field, because at the time it was just grass, and the baby was found the following morning by a dog walker, and obviously the baby had passed away. So I'm not just saying it just happens in America, because it does happen everywhere. And this was back in I'm showing my age, but this is back in the 80s when that had happened, not far from where I live now. So it does happen everywhere, but I don't think that any sentence that's been passed has been in a sufficient amount of time. And I do have a feeling a little bit that the judge may have thought, you know what, we're going to make an example of this woman. We're going, and because there's been no remorse showed, she has, thank you for the follows, she had, thought she'd basically done nothing wrong because she thought she would got away with it. She didn't take into consideration CCTV, and it's just disgusting. And I really do hope that when Alexis Trevizo, because again, like I said, it happened in 2024, still not going to trial. Oh wait, sorry, 2023. Sorry, I was looking at the trial date. But this happened in January 2023. Alexee Trevizo had done this in a hospital as well, in a hospital bathroom. She could have got the help. She did not need to go and do what she did. And what she'd actually done was she'd went in complaining of stomach pains, back and stomach pains. And her mum, in one of the interviews, had talked about the fact that, that she was a cheerleader, she had some pains, she had been, or that her mum said that she had been a victim of domestic violence from Alexi's father while she was still pregnant. So she was making up a lot of excuses for Alexis Trevizo, and that I don't think that's quite right. The defense had suggested, and that's why you see it in the arrest. And the arrest is so windy, it is so difficult to hear what they're actually saying, and it goes on for so long. But anyway, she went to the hospital and complaining of being in pain. So as any hospital does, I'm not, but I'm alternative, but I'll just block you if you just continue. Ugh. Right, why is it not limit? Right, done. They're gone. That was actually really annoying, and that was really rude, actually. Regardless of how I'm dressed, it doesn't really matter. To spam comment section, that is really annoying, especially with the fact that I was talking to you all. Thank you so much. But Alexei had decided that she was just going to go to the toilet. Now, by this point, they did do a pregnancy test for her. Thank you. And they didn't know how far on she was. And when she went to the toilet, and she was in the toilet for about 20 minutes or so, there was obviously concern at that point because they believed that she was trying to force a miscarriage because, again, they didn't know how far on she was. She was wearing incredibly baggy clothing, like to hide everything. That jumper was miles too big for her. And she was also on weight loss tablets as well. That's another story. She's on weight loss tablets as well because apparently she gained a little bit of weight. Now I don't. Unfortunately, it's on mine now. Lost account. But when this first all came to light, I done a video and it was, you know, the song "She Knows." She knows, she knows. I'm a terrible singer, so I apologise. But I did it on that video, and it was all the pictures of her. It was screenshots from a lot of videos as well of her being so heavily pregnant, doing cheerleading lifts and stuff, where through no, thought about the unborn child that she was. Thank you very much for the follow, for the unborn child that she was actually carrying as well. And she went to the toilet. Obviously she must have been in heavy labour by that point, but when you watch her waddle down, and she properly waddles down to the toilet, she's clearly crowning because she's kind of holding from behind her, because she's obviously not going to do it at the front because then she would have showed off the big pregnancy belly, but she's holding behind her, so she's clearly crowning as she's going through there. She's, her mum's went to the bathroom door to find out what's going on. The doctors by this point are really concerned because she's been in there for quite some time. There's strange noises happening, the constant flushing off the toilet, the constant tap being run as well. The doctors were incredibly worried, and I no wonder that they were. Then when she got told through the door that they were going to get a master's key to break their way in, because by this point it was an a medical emergency, they needed to be able to access her at that precise moment, so they were going to use a master key to get into the toilet to find out what was going on. She's then suddenly appeared, like just a few moments later. Her baby took a breath. There was proof on the post-mortem that baby took a breath. She then went back to her room after, and she had put, like, after trying to clean up all the blood and stuff that obviously comes from giving birth. And we don't know how she cut the umbilical cord or anything like that. That bit sort of, because placenta's not just going to go easily down a toilet. And there was a load of tissues and stuff that she had popped into this. She put the baby in a empty bin liner, and she had taken a fresh bin liner and put the baby at the bottom. By that point, definitely going to be dead because it was tied up tight, and it's not getting any oxygen to breathe. And she's put a fresh bin liner over the top of it, and then she's left. She's went back to the room that she was in, and they're called porters, housekeepers, and cleaners. So, I mean, no disrespect to anybody at all. They've got numerous different names, and I feel so bad for the housekeeper as well. She was asked to go in. As she went in, she started cleaning up a little bit. She hadn't moved the bin by this point because there was no thought of there was a baby in there. And she's opened obviously the bin. All she saw is a fresh liner. She's cleaning up some of the blood because that's what she was asked to do, because they thought that she had forced a miscarriage or done a forced abortion, I suppose, and one way to say it as well. And the woman has moved the bin, and that's when she's realised it's a bit heavy. She's then opened the bin, took the fresh bin liner out, and that's when she saw a little baby boy. Baby boy wasn't breathing. They tried to do emergency CPR on the baby, but it was too late. They then told Alexei that they had found the baby. full term and it was dead. And that's when Alexi's mum then turns to her and goes, Alexie, we talked about this. I swear I will never stop hearing that way, the exact way she says it as well, because it is very much, but Alexie, we talked about this. And she's sitting there and I don't know what she's, like, I hope she got like all, because immediately afterwards, like, you can see on the CCTV that she is sobbing and she's getting all the comfort from everybody around her. People are actually just going up to her and giving her hugs. She's having to give a statement as well. You can clearly see how distressed she is in the body cam as well on the brief interview that they did with her at the hospital, because she would have had to give it a proper statement down at the station. And you could see how distressed she is. She could see how wrought she is. It was, she just had to find. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody at all. Like, my, like so much love to that housekeeper for what she had to find. And all she thought, I know this says, but all she thought was she was cleaning up after, but, you know, they didn't realise it was a full term. Now, the defence, I have said a few things. So, defence initially tried to pin the blame of the baby dying on the hospital because she had been given morphine to deal with the pain. However, it is known, and I follow a true crime content creator who did midwifery, and I fact checked this, so this is fact. During labour, mum, if she's able to, if there's no reason why she can't, is offered some morphine, and the amount of morphine that was found in the baby was pretty much nothing. There was hardly anything in the baby at all. There wasn't enough time to get enough of the morphine into the baby, so the morphine would not have killed baby at all. And like I said, it is not uncommon if a woman is in considerable amount of pain to be given, and the gas in the air or isn't working and they're not able to get the epidural or the back blocks and, you know, all that stuff. If they're not able to get all those medications into them at the time because they're in too much of an active labour, they are given a little bit of morphine. That's not uncommon at all. So that was immediately ruled out by medical professionals, so they couldn't pull that one. By that point, defence is, because she's not been officially arrested, defence had then told grandparents and Alexei to create a little board, sort of a memorial board thing, and she named the baby Alex. But then there's a little baby grow. It's got Alex down the sides, and it's like a white border, black. It's sort of like a pinboardy type style thing. There's a wee baby grow that's in it, like a baby vest grow thing, and nobody can tell me otherwise. But what looks like, very much so, an ultrasound scan, which makes me think, and some people agree, some people don't, that there was a possibility that she had went to get an ultrasound scan somewhere else, so not in the state of New Mexico, that maybe she went to Mexico for it. Again, this is not fact, this is just maybe my opinion. This is what she's happened. She's known she's pregnant for a while. Her and her boyfriend were very active. There was a reason that she was told that the school, her classmates, her peers and stuff were told that nobody was to say anything, nobody was to ask her, because people had already, because by this point, bear in mind, she was 19, so she was an adult. People had gone to the principal, to the cheer coach, to thank you for the follow, and had said, you know, we think that Alexei is pregnant, and then this letter goes out by the principal. I used to have the letter, but I can't find it anymore. It's an emails went out. It's all to all parents to state that if anybody was to mention Alexei being pregnant, they were going to treat that as body shaming because she's put on weight, because she was on weight loss tablets, allegedly. And that nobody was to mention it. If anybody mentioned it, they would not get to graduate. And because a lot of them had scholarships to go into for further education, they basically were bullied into staying silent. And I potentially should not told her mum how far on she actually was, given the fact that a week or so just before, thank you, just before she had the had and then killed her baby, she was in a cheer video. And you can see how exhausting she is. She's holding her back. She's, you know, leaning a lot. It's very much a video of a cheerleader who is heavily pregnant. I think defense knows that, especially with Alexis Avila and the fact that she got 18 years, 2 years of that is probationary period outside of incarceration. But I think they know that there's been a certain example made on her. Because 18 years, that's a decent sentence for this, and the baby survived. So they are pursuing a charge of first-degree murder. She's out. She went to prom with her baby's ashes. Her and her boyfriend and the baby daddy had a little vial of the baby ashes that are worn around the neck, acting like nothing had ever happened, like she never just killed the baby. When she got arrested, her mum was demanding all the information about why she's getting arrested, why you need to see her, why this, why that. Can I sit in the room with her and stuff? And she had to remember that Alexei is not a minor. She's over the age of 18. She's 19-year-old. She doesn't need a parental figure or a person sit there on her behalf. And there's no mental health challenges there at all. Alexei has got to go to uni. I don't know if she's working. Potentially she is. Everything has been stalled. Everything. It's like consistently every time that you think that the trial is going to start for her, something else gets thrown in. Initially, like I said, that body cam footage of the doctor saying that they had found a baby, it was full term, it was dead, and her mum being there to witness it. They're claiming obviously it goes against the HIPAA oath, and that it shouldn't have been seen, and it's a breach of confidentiality. Thank you. They've tried to get even the CCTV from the actual hospital. Thank you so much. And just to add as well, and I said this at the beginning, and I'm going to keep reiterating it ever so often because I noticed you've been following each other. I'm all about supporting other creators, so if you see other people that you do not follow in here in the comment section, please drop them a follow. They will follow you back. They may be in TikTok jail, so they might not be able to follow you straight away, but it would be nice to build a wee community as well and see some faces coming back ever so often when I am going live. I'm planning on trying to go live ever so often, well, as many times as possible actually, because it's been kind of fun. I'm going live again tomorrow. I'm coming live again at around 8 o'clock. It's coming up for an hour, so I am going to start winding down. Obviously, these cases get me so wound up, and I can talk about them for hours. So I'm leaving lying. I'm sure on my old account, when I was discussing both of them, I think I was live for about 4 hours, going really angry. So I'm trying to be a little bit calmer. But that is the case of. But what I did say, this is a case of Alexis Avila. There's no updates on Alexee Trevizo, so until there is updates on her, I'm not going to do as much a deep dive on that. I know that there'll be appeals that can happen. Now that can come off. How do I take these off again? Can't remember. It's just going to have to Unless I can make it go tiny. Can you tell that even I used to do this when I was on my now lost account as well? We just put it up here. So I don't want to do a full breakdown because I would probably show a little bit more pictures of her as well, and obviously some of the hospital pictures. I am going to do a proper video on Alexis Avila. It has the 911 call of the three heroes when they find the baby. It has a little bit of a breakdown as well from the probably a bit of timeline as well, how long it took for the three heroes to find baby, and for the 911 call, and for them to realise what it actually was that they found. And it actually shows that it took her a matter of seconds to throw her baby away like trash. But I do have, and I've done it purely because I don't think it's fair on baby Saul if the video is always very clear of him getting discarded like trash, because one day in the future he's going to find out about all of this. The baby's so cute though. Well, he's such a cute little boy. But this was a case of Alexis Avila. It's horrible. There's no excuse, absolutely no excuse, especially in America. It's so much easier in America for a baby to be handed in and cared for than what it is in places like Scotland. You can't just go to the hospital up to a month after giving birth and just be like, I don't want this. There's a lot of paperwork involved. Social work department get involved. Child protection services, then well, obviously then the case goes to goes on our child protection register, and there's so much more that obviously happens to them here. But again, our judicial system's an absolute joke because our idea of life is pitiful. And I like America for the fact that in some states you have the death penalty, and you know, life means life, and life is without possibility of parole when they will die in prison. But there's always that bit of back and forth. You agree with some, you disagree with others, but I'm hoping that that we're going to see, there's always that hope, isn't it, that we're going to see less and less and less of this. And we, I believe that, I want to say March, but it might be wrong, but there's Lake and Skylar, no, that's because of Brooke Skylar. There's Lake and Snellen, that's still due to come up. That was the latest teenager that killed her baby. There's that still coming up now, still as well. So, excuse me, perhaps if more of these cases are obviously brought to light, spoken about as well, shared, and also shared with teenagers of that age group. So between prom time and it's junior college, I think, junior university, you know, because some of them, you know, going up to like the ages of 21 to 22. Perhaps if these cases are put into the spotlight and spoken about and shared and talked about, and discussions are opened on it and proper sentences given, it may be enough to show a potentially pregnant teenager or very young adult that there is places where you can take your baby, especially given the, and I know that's a completely different argument, but it has been brought up in the past. But I know that because of the overturn of Roe v. Wade and the women's right to choose and what to do, I know that that's caused quite a significant impact on these types of cases, and we may see more. But that's the hope, that sharing these cases, talk about these cases, getting them doing better sentences for these mothers, because they are, that it'll do an example of each and every single one of them that is up and coming, and show that these things do hold consequences, and you're just not going to get to go out and live a life afterwards, like Brooke Skylar Richardson, who got absolutely no jail sentence time at all, or Melissa Drexler, who had initially got given a decent sentence, and then it got reduced to a pitiful sentence, and she's gone on to have other children and stuff. And you kind of go, well, there's no accountability with these women. They just go on and get to live their lives, and that's where I think is wrong, and that's where it's been an hour. That is ultimately where my stance is. But I'd like to thank you all for being here. It's very much appreciated. Thank you so much for the gifts. Thank you for the taps. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for following each other as well. I am going to wrap it up here. I'll come live tomorrow at the same time, so 8 p.m. It's British Standard Time. I don't know what time it is with yourselves, but thank you for coming in, and thank you for putting up with me talking at you for an hour. It's been lovely, and thank you as well for obviously engaging and talking, because that was really quite helpful. But until tomorrow, I will see you all on the streets of TikTok. Take care, and if you are doing any New Year's Day celebrations, enjoy them, and again, a very happy New Year.